Consumer Reports spent an entire year testing hundreds of vehicles. Real roads, real owners, real data from hundreds of thousands of people who actually live with these cars every single day. And when the results came in for 2026, out of every SUV on the market, only 7 made the cut. Not the most expensive, not the most advertised, not the ones with the biggest celebrity endorsements. The ones that simply, when everything was measured and every number was tallied, refused to be anything less than the best. And one of them did something no SUV has done in Consumer Reports history. Stay with us. This countdown will change how you buy an SUV in 2026. Number 7. Subaru Forester. Every great countdown needs an anchor, a vehicle that sets the standard everything else is measured against. The Subaru Forester is that anchor, not because it's flashy, not because it dominates conversations at car shows or generates breathless reviews from automotive journalists chasing something new to celebrate. Because it is sans, in the truest, most data-supported sense of the word, deeply, consistently, almost aggressively dependable. Consumer Reports awarded the 2026 Forester a top pick designation, built on a foundation of predicted reliability scores sitting well above the segment average, owner satisfaction ratings that reflect genuine long-term contentment, and a road test performance that prioritizes the right things for the right buyer. But here's where the Forester's story gets genuinely interesting. Subaru carried a reliability cloud over their brand for years. The boxer engine head gasket vulnerabilities that haunted earlier generations left a mark in the collective automotive memory that proved stubborn to erase. Buyers who had heard the stories hesitated. The reputation lagged behind what Subaru's engineering teams had actually corrected, revised, and rebuilt across subsequent model years. Consumer Reports doesn't evaluate reputation. They evaluate outcomes. And the outcomes on the current Forester generation are clear, consistent, and compelling. The symmetrical all-wheel drive system, permanent, balanced, running all 4 wheels all the time rather than engaging only when sensors detect slippage, provides a capability foundation that on-demand systems simply cannot match in the real-world conditions where it matters most. Wet highway ramps, black ice, mountain switchbacks in November. The AWD isn't a feature you activate. It's a structural reality the vehicle is built around. Interior visibility remains one of the Forester's most distinctive and practically valuable characteristics. The greenhouse, the glass area surrounding the cabin, is among the largest in the compact SUV segment. Blind spots that create real anxiety in vehicles with thick pillars and narrow rear windows simply don't exist here in the same way. Over-the-shoulder visibility that makes the driver feel connected to the space around the vehicle, rather than isolated inside a moving box. Here is the honest truth about the Forester's place on this list. It is not here because it wins any single category by a dramatic margin. It is here because it wins across all categories simultaneously, consistently, without the peaks and valleys that make other capable compact SUVs unreliable recommendations. A vehicle that scores excellently in reliability, but merely average in safety is not a top pick. A vehicle that drives beautifully but sends owners to the dealership 6 times a year is not a top pick. The Forester scores above average across every dimension Consumer Reports measures. That comprehensive, simultaneous excellence, quiet, undramatic, and entirely consistent, is why it opens this countdown. Number 6. Hyundai Tucson Hybrid. Here is a sentence that would have sounded like satire 15 years ago. A Hyundai earned a Consumer Reports top pick designation, beating established Japanese and American competitors. Based on superior reliability data, higher owner satisfaction scores, and a powertrain warranty so confident in its own engineering that it makes every competitor's coverage look like a reluctant legal minimum. And yet, here we are, in 2026, with the data to prove it. The Tucson Hybrid's Consumer Reports performance reflects something that has been building at Hyundai for over a decade, a systematic, methodical commitment to engineering quality that has gradually, then suddenly, produced vehicles capable of competing with and defeating brands that spent generations building reliability reputations the Korean manufacturer was historically dismissed as unable to match. The tension in the Tucson Hybrid story is the same tension that runs through every Hyundai success story of the last 5 years. Can a brand that built its American identity on affordability, on being the practical choice when excellence felt financially out of reach, actually produce a product that belongs on a list defined by excellence rather than value? Fuel economy in the mid to upper 30s in combined driving, real-world numbers confirmed by Consumer Reports' own instrumented testing rather than EPA estimates that frequently don't survive contact with actual traffic. Interior quality that Consumer Reports reviewers described as punching above the vehicle's price class. Materials and assembly precision more consistent with vehicles commanding a $10,000 premium in the segment. Predicted reliability above average. Owner satisfaction reflecting buyers who expected competent value and found something they didn't fully anticipate, a vehicle they genuinely like rather than simply tolerate. But the detail that separates the Tucson hybrid from every competitor in its class in a way that no road test score fully captures is the warranty. 10 years or 100,000 miles on the powertrain, 10 years on the hybrid battery components, no competitor at this price. Point offers comparable coverage. Not Toyota, not Honda, not Ford. When a manufacturer offers a 10-year warranty on their most expensive and complex components, they are making an engineering statement that no marketing campaign can replicate. They are saying, we built this well enough to guarantee it for a decade. Consumer Reports heard that statement, the data confirmed it, and the Tucson hybrid earned its place on this list. Number 5. Honda CR-V Hybrid. The Honda CR-V has been present in American driveways for so long that its appearance on a best-of list carries a particular weight. Not the weight of nostalgia, though that exists. The weight of sustained, repeated, independently verified proof that this vehicle, in this generation, with this powertrain, continues to earn the trust that 3 decades of CR-V ownership history has built. But there is a more specific story inside the 2026 CR-V Hybrid's Consumer Reports standing. A story about recovery, refinement, and what happens when an engineering team confronts a problem honestly instead of managing it through communication. The turbocharged CR-V years introduced variables that Honda's historically near-perfect reliability record hadn't prepared owners to expect. Oil dilution reports in cold climates, hesitation during cold starts, reliability scores that dipped below the brand's established baseline, not dramatically, but enough to register in Consumer Reports data and enough to create hesitation in a market where the CR-V's reliability legacy had been its most powerful selling point. Honda's response was not a press statement, it was an engineering pivot. The two-motor hybrid system that replaced the turbocharged configuration drew on Honda's decades of hybrid development, technology refined across multiple Accord, Insight, and Odyssey hybrid applications, and applied it to the vehicle that needed it most. The result is a powertrain that Consumer Reports data now places above the segment, average in predicted reliability. A system where the gasoline engine functions primarily as a generator rather than the primary propulsion source at most speeds, reducing the mechanical stress cycles that accumulate into long-term wear. An electric motor handling the acceleration demands that strain conventional drivetrains most severely. Cargo space and rear seat room remain among the most generous in the segment, a CR-V hallmark across generations that the hybrid powertrain's packaging did not compromise. Owner satisfaction is high. Predicted reliability is above average. The road test score reflects a vehicle that has recovered its footing and then exceeded where it stood before the detour. But here's the detail most buyers in 2026 miss when they evaluate the CR-V hybrid's value proposition. The hybrid premium over the standard CR-V is modest, meaningfully smaller than most buyers assume before they see the actual pricing. When that modest premium is measured against better fuel economy, a smoother and quieter powertrain, and materially higher predicted reliability scores, the hybrid isn't the expensive version of the CR-V. It is simply the better version, at a price difference that the fuel savings alone begin closing within the first year of ownership. Consumer Reports recognize that value calculation. The 2026 Top Pick designation reflects it. Number 4. Kia Telluride. The Telluride walked into the 3-row SUV segment in 2019 and did something that restructured the conversation about what a Korean manufacturer was capable of producing. It didn't just compete with vehicles from brands that had spent decades defining the family SUV category. It outscored them. In real-world testing, with real owners reporting real satisfaction. And in 2026, 7 years after launch, through a generation refresh that most manufacturers fumble, Consumer Reports is still praising it, still recommending it, still placing it on top pick lists alongside vehicles from brands with 50 more years of American market credibility. That sustained excellence across time and through a major update cycle is not luck. It is not momentum carrying a launch year reputation forward without examination. Consumer Reports reevaluates every vehicle every year against current competitors, current data, and current owner feedback. The Telluride earns its place on this list in 2026 the same way it earned it in 2022, and 2023, and 2024, by being measurably, verifiably better than most of what it competes against. The road test score reflects cabin refinement that Consumer Reports uses as a proxy for overall build quality. Specifically sound isolation, which is expensive to engineer properly and consistently, the first thing manufacturers compromise when cost pressure arrives. At highway speed, the Telluride's interior remains genuinely quiet, not quiet for the price. Quiet by the objective standard of instruments measuring decibel levels and comparing them. Across segments, predicted reliability above average, owner satisfaction among the highest recorded in any three-row segment Consumer Reports tracks. Safety ratings at the top tier of the category. But here's what makes the 2026 Telluride's position genuinely impressive beyond the individual scores. Kia managed a generation refresh, the moment most beloved vehicles stumble, when new technology gets added, when complexity increases, when the team that built the original's magic is no longer entirely the team responsible for its successor, without breaking anything. The features improved, the technology advanced, the reliability scores held. That is harder than launching a great vehicle, and Kia did it. Number 3. Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. Let's talk about something that defies conventional automotive logic. Adding an electric motor to a vehicle introduces a new component that can fail. Adding a high-voltage battery pack introduces chemistry that degrades. Adding a power management computer introduces software that can malfunction. Adding a regenerative braking system introduces mechanical complexity that conventional brake systems don't carry. By every principle of engineering probability, more components means more failure points. More failure points means lower reliability. The Toyota RAV4 Hybrid has been systematically dismantling that logic for years, and in 2026, Consumer Reports data continues to place it at or near the top of compact SUV reliability rankings. Not just among hybrid vehicles, not just within its size class, but across the entire compact SUV segment, regardless of powertrain configuration. More complex than most of its competitors, more reliable than almost all of them. The explanation requires understanding something that most automotive coverage glosses over in the interest of simplicity. By the time the RAV4 Hybrid's current architecture reached production, the hybrid system wasn't an experiment. It was a mature, field-tested, failure mode-corrected engineering solution that happened to be packaged inside America's best-selling SUV body style. The electric motor assists the combustion engine specifically during the operating conditions that cause the most cumulative wear: acceleration, climbing under load, the stop-and-go cycling that breaks down conventional drivetrains over high mileage. The engine that works less hard at its most stressful moments ages more slowly. The reliability scores are a mathematical consequence of that mechanical reality. Consumer Reports' 2026 road test praised the RAV4 Hybrid's all-wheel drive execution, a rear electric motor providing rear axle drive without any mechanical connection to the front drivetrain, eliminating the driveshaft, transfer case, and differential components that represent significant long-term maintenance costs and failure opportunities in conventional AWD systems. Fuel economy that Consumer Reports confirmed in real-world testing, rather than accepting EPA estimates. Owner satisfaction that reflects drivers who purchased an SUV and discovered they had accidentally bought one of the most cost-effective vehicles in the segment when total ownership cost, purchase price plus fuel plus maintenance plus repairs, is calculated across 5 years rather than the transaction moment. Predicted reliability. Excellent. Road test score. Among the segment's highest. Safety is his top tier. 2 vehicles on this list scored higher still, and the gap between number 3 and what's coming is not small. Number 2. Subaru Outback. The Subaru Outback invented a category. Before the Outback, the choice was binary. You bought a car, lower, more efficient, more car-like, or you bought a truck-based SUV that sat high, consumed fuel aggressively, and handled with the characteristic body roll of something that had never fully decided whether it wanted to be a vehicle or a building. The Outback found the space between those two things: raised wagon ride height, car-based platform dynamics, all-wheel drive capability that didn't demand truck-based compromises, ground clearance that extended usability without demanding sacrifice in every other category. It created a segment, led that segment, and in 2026, Consumer Reports data confirms it still defines it. Eyesight standard, predicted reliability above average. Owner satisfaction scores that Consumer Reports has tracked across multiple Outback generations without significant negative variation. A consistency that reflects structural product quality rather than model year specific success. And then there is the repurchase data. Subaru Outback owners return to buy another Outback at rates that consistently rank among the highest repurchase figures in any vehicle segment Consumer Reports tracks. That number, the percentage of owners who, when given every available option with full purchase experience behind them, choose to buy the same vehicle again, is the most honest consumer satisfaction metric in automotive research. It cannot be manufactured by marketing. It cannot be inflated by incentives. It is people voting with their own money, their own next purchase decision, based on their own lived experience, with a vehicle they already know completely. The Outback's repurchase rate is what it is because the Outback is what it is. Number 2 on this list. And genuinely extraordinary, but not number 1. Because number 1 did something in 2026 that made the entire automotive industry pay attention. Number 1, Toyota Crown Signia Hybrid. Most vehicles earn a Consumer Reports top pick by being the best in their category. The Toyota Crown Signia Hybrid earned it by being the best at everything, simultaneously, in a way that left Consumer Reports analysts describing it with the kind of language that automotive writers reserve for vehicles that genuinely shift the reference point for an entire segment. The Crown Signia occupies a space that Toyota created by asking a question most manufacturers haven't fully answered yet. What if a vehicle delivered the fuel economy of a hybrid sedan, the interior space and elevated ride height of a midsize SUV, the road test performance of a premium European crossover, and the reliability legacy of Toyota's most proven hybrid architecture, all in a single package, at a price point that doesn't require a conversation with a financial advisor? The answer is the Crown Signia Hybrid. And in 2026, Consumer Reports data confirms that Toyota answered that question more completely than anyone anticipated. The percentage of owners who, when given every available option with full purchase experience behind them, choose to buy the same vehicle again, is the most honest consumer satisfaction metric in automotive research. It cannot be manufactured by marketing. It cannot be inflated by incentives. It is people voting with their own money, their own next purchase decision, based on their own lived experience, with a vehicle they already know completely. The Outback's repurchase rate is what it is because the Outback is what it is. Number 2 on this list. And genuinely extraordinary, but not number 1. Because number 1 did something in 2026 that made the entire automotive industry pay attention. Number 1, Toyota Crown Signia Hybrid. Most vehicles earn a Consumer Reports top pick by being the best in their category. The Toyota Crown Signia Hybrid earned it by being the best at everything, simultaneously, in a way that left Consumer Reports analysts describing it with the kind of language that automotive writers reserve for vehicles that genuinely shift the reference point for an entire segment. The Crown Signia occupies a space that Toyota created by asking a question most manufacturers haven't fully answered yet. What if a vehicle delivered the fuel economy of a hybrid sedan, the interior space and elevated ride height of a midsize SUV, the road test performance of a premium European crossover, and the reliability legacy of Toyota's most proven hybrid architecture, all in a single package, at a price point that doesn't require a conversation with a financial advisor? The answer is the Crown Signia Hybrid. And in 2026, Consumer Reports data confirms that Toyota answered that question more completely than anyone anticipated. The powertrain is Toyota's 5th-generation hybrid system, the most refined iteration of technology that has been accumulating real-world knowledge since 1997. 2. Electric motors. A 2.5-liter naturally aspirated Atkinson cycle engine that prioritizes efficiency over raw output and allows the electric motors to handle the performance demands that conventional engines strain to meet. A combined system output that produces acceleration numbers that Consumer Reports road testers described as genuinely surprising, quick in a way that the vehicle's efficiency-focused engineering profile doesn't predict. Predicted reliability, top tier. Built on the same hybrid architecture foundation that has produced Toyota's industry-leading dependability scores across the RAV4 hybrid, the Camry hybrid, the Venza, and every other vehicle sharing this platform's mechanical DNA. Owner satisfaction, exceptional. The Owner's Consumer Reports survey didn't just express satisfaction with their purchase decision. They expressed the specific, articulate enthusiasm of people who went looking for a good SUV and came home with something they considered genuinely extraordinary. Safety, top tier. Standard Toyota safety sense across the lineup, calibrated to a standard that Consumer Reports' own safety system evaluations placed at the top of the segment. But here is what the Crown Signia Hybrid's 2026 Consumer Reports standing represents beyond the individual scores. It represents the complete answer to the question that every serious SUV buyer should be asking in 2026. Not which SUV has the most impressive feature list. Not which SUV has the most aggressive exterior design. Not which SUV's commercial made me feel something in 30 seconds. Which SUV, when everything that matters across the entire ownership experience is measured honestly, independently, and without commercial influence, delivers the most complete, most reliable, most satisfying version of what an SUV is supposed to provide? In 2026, Consumer Reports answered that question. The Toyota Crown Signia Hybrid. Number 1. Not by a narrow margin in one category. By comprehensive, simultaneous, across-the-board excellence in every category that matters. That is what a Consumer Reports top pick means when it's earned at this level. And that is why it sits at the top of this countdown. 7 vehicles, 1 list, built entirely on independently verified data from the most rigorous automotive testing organization in America. No manufacturer influence, no sponsored placement, no opinions disguised as research. It's the only thing standing between you and an expensive mistake that parks in your driveway for the next 7 years. Hit like if this countdown changed how you see the 2026 SUV market. Subscribe for more data-driven automotive content. No fluff, no filler, no manufacturer talking points. We'll see you in the next one.